Joseph Lombardo, spelled Lombardo. I'm the governor of the state of Nevada. And prior to that, I was the sheriff, the Clark County sheriff here in Las Vegas, Southern Nevada, for 8 years. And prior to that, I was a police officer with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for 26 years. So I've been involved in public service since day one. And I guess prior to that, I was in the United States Army. So my dad was a career military man, United States Air Force. I was born in Misawa, Japan, on an Air Force base, and migrated around Europe. And so I've been, before I came to Las Vegas, went to Rancho High School here locally in Las Vegas, and eventually to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And that's how I got involved in public service, via my dad. It was a stable, obviously stable employment. And when I made the decision to join the police department, which is truly public service, it wasn't because of financial reasons. We didn't get paid that well. It was just to give back to the community and support the community. And that was my calling. I think I received that from my father, and I just continued that. And then eventually, upon completing my 2 terms as the sheriff in Clark County, I made the decision to continue a new challenge. And that's what motivates people, right, in life, is challenge and positive recognition. And I was asked to run for governor, because the perception was the state was going in the wrong direction. And I believed I had the leadership history and ability to change that direction.
And thank you so much for your tireless work for the state of Nevada, and we really appreciate all that you do. Do you mind if we just jump straight into some student questions for you?
I don't have to speak Spanish, do I?
No, they are all fluent in English, everyone who's joining us. So one of the students emailed me and they wanted to know what inspired you to pursue a career in politics? And second question, what inspired you for your pursuit for your career in public service to become a police officer? Because as you mentioned, the pay is not well, and it's truly a selfless job. So what's the inspiration behind that?
Well, I thought I answered that question previously, but I'll build upon it. It was just giving back to the community. Quite often we enter into public service because you want to give back to the community and you want to do good. But to be honest with you, when I first joined, it was for the adrenaline factor. It was cool to be a police officer, and the type of work that they were involved in, it was a great interest to me. And then soon afterwards, you learn how much you can make a difference in people's lives, especially people that can't take care of themselves. And that's what drew me to public service. And that's what continued me to be part of public service, for 34 years. First as a police officer, and then eventually moving up through the ranks, and then being the sheriff, and then eventually running for governor. And what drew me to being the governor is, I mentioned, I just thought that the response to COVID in totality here in the state of Nevada, via the state office of the governor, was poorly executed. And the people of Nevada needed more of a reason to support somebody else in that leadership role. And I thought I had the ability to do that. And luckily, through a very contentious election process, I was successful in getting elected. And and everything I've done in life is based off a challenge. That's a true motivator in any human genome. Is a challenge, makes you stay engaged, makes you not be burnt out per se, but it makes you want to do better. And I think the running for governor would be the ultimate challenge. And we were successful. And so now here we are today, and I believe we're doing a great job on behalf of my staff and myself, and I'm looking forward for the next 7 years.
Hear, hear. We're all rooting for you. Now you have people rooting for you all over the world. We have a question from Miss Nudi's class right here in Southern Nevada. You guys can unmute Miss Nudie to ask your first question. Might be having some technical difficulties, but the first question they asked, they want to know who are your role models or mentors as you were advancing in your career?
So I guess prior to advancing in a career was my father. He was a career Air Force soldier. He did 31 years in the United States Air Force, and I appreciated what he did for our country and for our family, and how he conducted himself and his character. And I would say that he's my primary role model. And then as I joined the police department, moved on in my career, there was a sheriff prior to me. His name was Douglas Gillespie. And I just liked how he approached problems and how he addressed the needs of the community, and I had absolute respect for him. So I tried to model my career after his integrity and his character.
We have a question from Maria, and she is in Spain. Maria, go ahead and unmute to ask your question.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm very curious about your political career, and I would like to ask you about some of the most significant challenges you've faced in your political career.
Well, thanks for the question. Maria, where are you located at in Spain?
I'm from Zaragoza in Spain. It's in the north.
I know where it's at.
Eastern.
I used to live in Spain. I used to live in Madrid for a little while. My dad was stationed in the Air Force there in Torrejon Air Force Base. So I know exactly where you are. So what was the challenge in my political career? Well, I guess first and foremost, as you deal with the head executive of any organization, you're totally and solely relying on your employees for the success of the organization. And when I was elected sheriff, we were woefully understaffed with police officers. And for us to hire police officers, would have to pass a tax initiative. So it's a tax put on all the residents of the community we live here, in order to pay for the police officers. So I had to go to the legislature and provide testimonies and reasons why, and substantiate my reason for the need for more police officers, because police officers make a difference. And when you're dealing with the crime environment and everything else that goes along with the criminal justice system, I truly believe police officers are the last line of defense for a safe community. And it was very difficult challenge to pass that sales tax initiative, because that you were going to ask all the residents of the Las Vegas Valley to be responsible for increase in costs associated with anything they would purchase. It was a sales tax, and eventually I was able to get it passed. And in totality, we were able to hire well over 1,200 police officers as a result. And as a direct result of that, we had a safer community. The second aspect of that, when I was the sheriff, was, I'm sure every one of you students are familiar with the event 1 October. And that's where we had the shooting there at Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas, and several fans of a country music festival lost their lives as a result of an individual who wanted to commit harm and kill as many people as he could. And we had to provide leadership post after that event took place, and getting the individual into custody, doing the investigation, and creating a safe, stable environment and a mental attitude for all the people that live here in Las Vegas. So that was a definite significant challenge. And then as you move into the governor, I think the most significant challenge for me as the governor is school choice and education. So I promoted myself as an education governor. I think education is probably the most important thing anybody can be proud of in their lives, and has a direct effect on their success in their lives, as far as mentally and physically and emotionally. Everything that goes along with your life is directly related to education. And I think the ability for kids to not be restricted by where they live or their economic wherewithal, have the best education that the state can provide to them. And that's a matter of school choice. The ability to go to any school you desire that is more conducive to your personal personality and ensure that you have success. And we're fighting tooth and nail in the state of Nevada and the legislature to achieve that. And I think it's going to be a long, hard battle. So that's one of my biggest challenges.
Thank you so much for all of your tireless work for all of us in the charters. And it's because of people like Governor Lombardo that we can offer initiatives such as edutainment learning to you guys. We're gonna hop back to Miss Nudie. We'll go with a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go, Governor Lombardo. So go ahead, Miss Nudie. One of your kids had a question.
Oh, I have a question. How do you approach making difficult decisions in your role as a governor?
Great question. I guess it's fairly simple for me because you have to have a predisposed mindset, right? How are you going to deal with different difficult decisions and difficult challenges, and how do you approach that? And my approach from the very beginning is does this affect the majority versus the minority? A lot of interesting things happen in politics. You have a lot of individuals who have single purpose issues that affect them personally and maybe a small percentage of the population. And I think it's important for a person in leadership, no matter what their responsibility is to make decisions based on the majority versus the minority. And it's unfortunate because you have to, partial your resources and whatever is available to you. But when I approach an issue or a decision fact or a challenge, I base it on the majority belief in the majority benefit versus a small, loud minority. And that's how I approach it. And then how do you solve the problem? Well, first is you got to identify the problem and then identify what resources you need to address the problem. And then you respond to it with those resources, hoping that that's the appropriate solution by assessing the implementation of the resources. So the assessment is probably the most important piece because you want to know that you're doing the right thing for the right reasons and the right way, and ensure that it's being effective and efficient. And then so you constantly assess that and when you address that challenge.
Excellent advice, sir. We'll go with two more
And
student questions.
if you want to simplify that, Ralph, is we call it the SARA model. So it's scanning, analyzing, responding, and assessing. It's a known true theory in leadership, and I find it is probably the easiest way to address a problem.
That's brilliant. And you simplify something so that would normally be so complicated. And I'm sure it could be very helpful for these kids as they go on to the next chapters in their lives. We have a question from Italy, and this is Ludovica. Ludovica, go ahead and ask the governor.
So I had this question. How does it feel to be the governor of such a big and famous city as Las Vegas? I mean, it's famous for obviously gambling and the casinos. So how does it feel?
It's very satisfying. One of the frustrating things with government is one is how slow it is to accomplish anything. But and then you inject the dynamics of the city of Las Vegas and the entertainment capital of the world. It continually makes your job exciting, challenging, and you're well known as a result of being the head of the state of Nevada, to include the city of Las Vegas. And just for your clarification, your audience clarification, also the city of Reno in northern Nevada, which is a very dynamic gaming industry and entertainment area within the state of Nevada. So I think it's a unique challenge that no other governor in the United States has the experience with. Like if you used Ron DeSantis in Florida, he has a different experience of dealing with natural disasters. The constant, fear of hurricanes and tornadoes and flooding and, natural disasters that occur there. We don't really have those kind of challenges here in the state of Nevada, other than it gets hot in the summertime. We have a whole different challenge, and that's dealing with the tourism economy and all the nuances of that, and our ability to make everybody's quality of life here in the state of Nevada successful.
Yeah, and you've done such a great job, and we're excited to see what's on the horizon for you as your
We got the
support.
Super Bowl. That's what's on the horizon.
Heck yeah, I'm headed to Detroit this weekend to root on my Lions. So we have Coralie. This is one of the final student questions. She is in France. Coralie, what is you have a question for Governor Lombardo. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, what was your job's dream when you were younger? What you wanted to do?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I don't know if you heard in the very beginning of my presentation, I talked about being in the military, and I was going to be make a career of the military, following my father's footsteps per se. But I soon got disenchanted with the military life. I was in the Army, he was in the Air Force, two complete different disciplines. I just didn't find it exciting or supportive in what I wanted to achieve in life. And just like every other young man in America, you think you have the ability to be a professional athlete. I played baseball and football and all that. I knew in short order that wasn't going to occur. And then so I wanted to do something more in giving back to the community and help the weak and the downtrodden and the people that couldn't help themselves. And I've believed that police work was the best avenue of that and the best direction to achieve that. And fortunately, I was living in a location where we have one of the best police departments in the nation, or probably in the world, and in the city of Las Vegas. And so it was a complete different dynamic here, and I've never had any regrets associated with it. And so I think when I was a young man, I knew in short order upon graduating high school that was the direction I wanted to go. And and just a little bit of advice on that. So a lot of you will get parental pressure to make a decision on your life and your life direction and perpetuity, upon the graduation of high school. And I think I think you should take a little more time and figure that out along the way. And don't be nervous about how long it takes you to figure it out along the way. You got to be comfortable in something you want to do for, the rest of your life. And you want to enjoy yourself that enables you to want to go to work versus having to go to work and, and provide for your family, your future family.
That
Hopefully
reminds
not family yet.
Yeah, they don't. That reminds me, you never have to work a day in your life if you love what you do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a 5-star principal here. I know we have multiple Nevada 5-star principals and schools on this call right now, but one of them is Wendy Shirey over at Pinecrest Horizon. You wanted to just say a quick hello?
Hi, Governor Lombardo.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really glad to see you here. And I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support for charter schools. I actually see a lot of us on the Zoom today. You have several charter administrators here joining you. So it is really important school choice. And as an educator here for over 20 years in Southern Nevada, I see it as just a huge opportunity for our kids. So I really appreciate you championing this for us. It really is important for our kids. So thank you for that and for all you do for Nevada.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Wendy, and I appreciate what the charter school environment does for our kids and their education. And it truly is a form of school choice. And like I mentioned earlier, it will be my continual fight for the people and the kids and the families of the state of Nevada. And I'm glad we were able to achieve some legislation this last session on expansion of charter schools. And hopefully we can get into the teacher pay in this next session. And hopefully some of the transportation funding that we brought forward will be a benefit for some of your families.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So, Governor Lombardo, the final question I ask all of our guests who participate in these weekly is, what advice do you have for these kids as they go on to the next chapter in their lives, as far as persevering through adversity? I mean, you've been, such a strong leader, both with the police force here in Southern Nevada and now our entire Silver State. So what advice would you have for them as they go and try and blaze their own trails?
Well, you know what? I think the rise and fall of anybody personally and or in an organization or wherever you work or whatever you may do in your life is based off communication. And anything you can do to improve upon that skill set, I think breeds success. You can teach people the nuances and the expertise of any profession or anything that you want to achieve in life, but what you have to be able to do is to have a ability to communicate. And that takes practice, practice, practice. You got to overcome those fears. I think I failed personally in my youth and avoided everything possible, public speaking and communicating with individuals. I was a little more introverted and type A. And for you to be successful and comfortable and confident in life, you have to have the ability to communicate. So do everything you can to bolster that skill set. And I anticipate the success that goes along with it. It'll happen naturally. It's outside of being forced. And I think we'll all be better as a result of that. And along with communication is listening, right? We tend to want to get our point out, or we've already formed our mindset or our decision-making process. And I think the important piece, which takes it's a very difficult skill to learn, is listening and ensure that you're hearing the other side of the story or the other person's point of view. I think that's the recipe to success.
Governor Lombardo, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your valuable day to come talk to us today. I just got word you were also speaking to a college in Mexico City that's on here as well. So,
oh, good.
Before I let you go, before I end the meeting for all, I hope everyone is well. Be sure to check out edutainmentlearning.com. We have a slew of guest speakers coming up this spring. I'm going to allow everyone to unmute, and can we all collectively say thank you to Governor Joe Lombardo for talking to us today. Thank you so much, Governor Lombardo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Very
much.
much.
Thank you.